steal by Rod Brown.
Dribble it out.
Rod into the front court. Rod hangs on to it. He gets it to Francis. Air Force will not foul. Final 7 seconds coming off the clock. McQuatch Malawach claps his hands. Congratulations to Jeremiah Francis as Francis comes over to shake hands with McQuatch. The final ticks come off the clock, and the Lobos pick up the win at Air Force. Final score, New Mexico 73, Air Force 65. The Lobos end their 5-game skid and get their second Mountain West Conference win.
It's been a while. They got it last night in Colorado Springs thanks to some home cooking from the Pilipovich family. Whatever it was, man, those guys were talking about it last night in the postgame, and it must have been good. That was the final call. Robert Portnoy on the UNM radio network is heard over on News Radio KKOB. Lobos 73-65 over Air Force. They get their second league win, 6-13 overall, 2-13 in conference play, and for the most part, looked good doing it. Aside from the 18 turnovers, they made free throws to the tune of 11 of 16 last night, made shots down the stretch, made plays down the stretch, brought energy last night in a game where they knew they had a chance. And JJ, you and I both said last night, or yesterday afternoon, maybe it was yesterday morning because that's when we're on the air, that we both thought that they would win. And that concerned you. We were both in agreement on that. This was a game where I thought that they would look at it. They've been close so much recently and had a chance to get it over the top, and they did. And it's just good to see some smiles in the post game last night. And just, for the most part, we don't know these guys much. They seem like they're pretty good guys. I mean, when you get a chance to listen to Byron Matos in a post game presser like we did last night, or Emmanuel Quach, they seem like good guys who haven't given up, and it's good to, like I talk about all the time, you got to get a payoff, man. Every once in a while, get a payoff, and last night they got one.
It was the plays they made down the stretch. Because Air Force put on a run to start the second half. And Byron Matos mentioned that post-game. It was like a game of basketball. Like, this isn't easy. And the Lobos responded. And when they got into that moment again, a close game in the final 3 to 4 minutes, you're wondering, all right, are they going to be able to do this? And they absolutely were. And for New Mexico, it came down to defense, some big stops late, but also just the execution. They were much better at that throughout the entire 40 minutes. And it starts with the post play, man. Valdez Manuel, Byron Matos, guys that do have potential. And you look at this roster, and there are a lot of guys I like on this roster. I think there are a lot of good role players, good contributing players potentially on this team. And last night you were just finally able to get multiple guys playing a really good game at once. Of course, McQuatch Malawach, what he did in the second half, 14 points. Saquon Singleton, his 13 assists. And then the combination of the forwards in the post. I think that's the first time, even if you go back to the San Jose State game, really, though, that I remember, like, where I'm going, like, there's 3, 4, 5 guys that all actually had a really good game for the Lobos.
Well, the numbers bear it out. Lobos shot almost 59% for the game, 58.8%. I don't know, JJ, if that's a season high. I'm going to guess if you take out Le Torno and Our Lady of the Lake, it's got to be a season high in conference play, right? Just their shooting percentage. And to your point, different guys stepping up and making big shots. I asked you last night, Emmanuel Quach came up with 2 big shots. The three-pointer was huge, and then his steal and breakaway, just aggressive hammer, tomahawk, elevation dunk. And I said the Quach shots were, can I call it a Quach shot, or is that below the belt? I mean, the Quach shot was the knockout shot, and I thought when he hit those 5 points in a row, that was when I asked for the check please, because to me that was when they put it away.
Yeah, it was a big stretch there after Air Force went on that run early in the second half for the Lobos to turn the game around, close it out comfortably too, and not being a one-possession game in the final 30 seconds, playing for the final shot or having to defend a final possession that was potentially a game-tying shot or game-winning shot for the opponent. And Emmanuel Quach, you saw it last year, the flashes. Like, this dude has special elevation. Like, yeah, there's guys that can get up and dunk, but this dude can, like, jump over the rim. And when you start to see some of the skills with his athleticism, his energy, especially in that second half. Again, it's a guy that you're like, okay, I see it. There's some guys on this roster that I really do like. That if you give it, if they're able to somehow add like a go-to player or two, then all of a sudden you're looking at, okay, I can see some pieces here. But it's just been such a year of development that yesterday, for like as we mentioned, the first time all year, you see, I see some of these guys developing into actual basketball players, and it looked all right.
Yeah, you talk about the athleticism, and I compare it in some cases. I'm trying to go back in the last bunch of years, a couple of decades of athleticism, and I go Waylon White and Tony Dandridge elevation, right? And I don't know if maybe I'm missing someone, but I didn't know that I thought that he was that much of a basketball player. I thought he was a hell of an athlete. And I think I thought that because, A, he wasn't playing very much, so I figured, all right, well, if he was all that, he'd be getting more time. And so when he's not playing much, you don't get to see much. The word development that you use, I think, is really right. Watching him develop, he was key last night, defensively and certainly offensively. And his defense led to the breakaway, and the three was big. And I thought he was there all night, and he played, 23 minutes. The other part of the development, and I asked Paul about this last night, I think the bigs have developed offensively. Manuel with the hook shot, Byron Matos a little bit better. Byron Matos was 6 of 7 last night from the field, and we're not asking him to shoot three-pointers. But when you look at your bigs, he was 6 for 7, and Valdir Manuel was 7 for 7 from the field, right? That is 13 for 14 from the field from your two bigs. And I asked Paul about the development because, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, you could not run your offense through the bigs. I'm not telling you they run their offense through the bigs now, but it's an option in a half-court set to get them the ball and feel comfortable. Now, I am well aware of who they played last night and the size advantage that they had against Air Force. But it feels to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the offensive development, the confidence, and just the efficiency of the bigs. I'm not telling you it's there yet, but it's certainly, to me, a heck of a lot better than it was a month ago.
Yeah, we've seen it with Manuel really throughout I would say the last month of steps forward that he's taken. We went from a dude that took a ton of bad shots to all of a sudden understanding the post game, the feel. He had a nice assist too, passing out of the post to a cutter last night, and so you've seen him take a tremendous step. And for Matos, it was just a touch around the rim because he's a big enough dude that even right now he should get to where he wants in the post against most teams. Not even just Air Force and Wyoming, but against even some of the better teams in this conference. And he just wasn't finishing around the rim. He'd have bad layup attempts, kind of throwing up bricks a lot, even in close proximity. But he had a couple dunks. To your point, he had a different confidence when he got the ball in the post, and that's what should happen. He wasn't able to do it against Wyoming. That's why the Lobos went small ball a lot. But those guys, as Paul Weir said after the game, stepped up, asserted themselves, and thus became a big part of what they did last night.
I don't know what it means other than they got over the hump. Did they learn how to win? I don't know. I asked Paul that last night. You played competition, and they've been playing competition, I think, that's more like them the back part of the season, right? Fresno State, Wyoming, Air Force, and they haven't been able to get one. And so to be able to get one feels good. Hopefully they like that feeling, and they go out and they get another one tomorrow. They'll play in the afternoon, a 4 o'clock tip up at Clune Arena against Air Force. And then, whatever the season's going to bring, I got to believe the Mountain West has got to let them know today or tomorrow, don't they, what they're going to do with next week? I mean, do they stay up there? Do they come home? What the hell are they doing? My gut tells me there's got to be some games. It's what you left that week gap for, or that gap week for. But I don't know. I just walk away feeling good for those guys. And they talked about feeling good for coaches. And boy, did they mention Dave Pilipovich a lot in the post game. The team went over to the Pilipovich house. Dave Pilipovich, of course, the Lobo assistant. Spent the last bunch of years as the head coach at Air Force. They still have a home there. His wife Kelly and him hosted the team, and they had dinner. And it must have been one hell of a meal. But Paul talked about they had a good time. First time they've been able to get together and just have a meal and relax and do something fun all season. And the guys, Manuel Quach said, I was unclear at first what coach they were talking about. Did you think he was saying, I wanted to win for coach? And I thought he was talking about Paul Weir, and I kind of emphasized. And then he said, Coach Dave, and I'm like, wow, that's something, right? Maybe just to say thank you for hosting us for dinner. I don't know.
I think it was something I thought about it, but I didn't know what kind of impact it was going to have on the game. But these players really talked about it last night. They really rallied around Dave Filipovich going back to Air Force with him being on the staff. And then, Saturday night. So they went to the Filipovich house, as you mentioned. They got clearance. I had to ask UNM just to make sure, hey, we okay with this scenario to go have dinner here. And it felt like, listening to what the players had to say about it, and even Paul Weir, it was the first moment where they could just relax as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it got that feeling. Because, you have your hotel dinner. There's times you're on the bus together. But this wasn't one where it's, all right, everybody, come downstairs, grab your meal, go back to your room. It was, you're at someone's house. You have the ability to just, I'm sure they had some games on, doing a bunch of stuff, just chillaxing. And it felt like the players really enjoyed it. And it was a sense of kind of refocus for this team over the weekend.
I don't want to overstate the importance of that, but I don't want to underestimate it either. What teams are, and I'll take you to the AAU level all the way up through what these guys are doing. Those moments unite teams. They do. Now, by no means am I going to sit here and tell you this team would be contending for a league championship if they had more meals at the Filipovich house. That's not what anybody's trying to tell you. But to your point, you can only eat so many meals in A, hotel ballrooms, or B, even more, what was happening is pick up your meal and go sit in your room with your roommate and eat your meal on your bed. You get to a point where, I'm really glad Will Weber asked the question last night, because I've been asking it for forever. He asked, I think it was Byron Matos, are you having fun? Is this fun? He says, oh yeah, it's fun. He's like, we love playing basketball and it's still fun. But I don't know how much fun that is. And you can sit here and tell me, you know what, it's work, it's not supposed to be fun. Well, not really. Not really. There's supposed to be fun in college basketball. And winning is fun, losing sucks. Moments like that, as simple as they seem, going over to a coach's house and having dinner in a season like this might end up being the highlight. Like with all honesty, when it's all said and done, what was the best moment of the year? It might not be beating Air Force or beating San Jose State. In all honesty, it might be dinner at Coach Dave's house.
And it worked. Whatever it was, it worked.
All right, here's what we got for you today. Danny Nee's going to be with us at 7:30 this morning. Danny's a former New Mexico State football great. And my former partner on Aggie Vision, he still calls games. He's the color commentator on Aggie Vision for football. We're going to talk to him about the Aggies' loss to Tarleton State 43-17 on Sunday past at the Sun Bowl, what that means and what he saw. Just kind of get his opinion as an alum and as an analyst on the New Mexico State football loss. That's at 7:30 this morning. We're open for business and got three lines open at 505. 246-0610. Got a bunch to talk about. We're going to get through the Lobo basketball game, get you ready for tomorrow, talk about hashtag Let Them Play, and there's now a GoFundMe page, and what's next in the fight to get high school sports to play. Lakers get beat again, not by the Nets this time, but by the Wizards. Is that of concern? Ton to do. Us and you, glad you're with us this morning on the opening drive on ProView Networks and 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Titus and Tate, a podcast from
with a steal. Potch in transition. Quach with a right-hand hammer. Lobos up 61-54. 7 straight for UNM.
Was that the Quach shot? Put it away. I'm going to use it now that you let me use it. That's right. I'm going to go with it. The Quach shot. Micah, that's not below the belt, is it? It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembeieda, JJ Buck. J-Pulp producing on the TV side. You can watch us on ProView Networks. Now, JJ, I was told you don't even need Comcast anymore. You can go to ProViewNetworks.com, watch the show at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, watch the games. That's kind of an upgrade there. And, of course, Micah on the radio side on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. 246-0610 is how you get to us, 888-922-0610. Your emails come to us, Jeff at sportsanimalabq.com, JJ at sportsanimalabq.com. Let's go. 2 lines open. Dan, you're up first. Good morning, Dan. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, sir.
Good day, gentlemen. Hey, just a couple of things. I won't be long. Yeah, to me, Jeff, and you've coached, and once your group starts seeing each other, you tell the kids, you got to see the whole court. You got to see the whole court. You got to use your peripheral vision. You got to see each other. To me, they're all seeing each other now out on the court. And I think they're all starting to see each other's attributes and what they can do. And they're starting to trust each other and love each other, So that meal they had last night or, before the game, or I think that just goes to great coaching. And they said, we gotta get these kids to love each other and love us as coaches. And I see that happening. Air Force came out the second half really strong. I didn't see any panic. I didn't see any disarray. They just got with it and came back. And then when I really felt good was on a couple of the breakaways where they were sharing the ball and they executed and they finished the transition. I said, okay, here we go. Now they're getting it together. Let's be patient. Let's let everybody do their job. And congratulations to the guys. I'm so happy for them. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Dan. It's good to see a win. Again, nobody's going to sit here and go overboard after beating Air Force on a Monday to go to 2-13. But you want to see progress, and it's still your team, and winning makes you feel better, doesn't it?
It does. And some of the worst things you can say about an athlete at any level is they quit or they're soft. And for a 2-13 basketball team, I will say I have been so impressed with the effort game in and game out. Yeah, they got blued out by the better competition. But you said you take a look at it and understand where this basketball team is. And against a light competition, they're playing hard. They're giving themselves a chance in a game when it could have been easy that this thing went off the rockers. Yeah, they're 2-13, but this could be players leaving left and right, issues on and off the court like crazy, guys just going, you know what, we're not a good basketball team. We have to live on the road. I ain't dealing with this. Peace out. And for a moment, right, is that San Diego State week kind of got the, what is happening here? Who's available? Is there going to be a mass exodus? No, they came back together. Team went out there. They're playing hard. And I think definitely, no matter how you feel about Paul Ware and this program right now, people can appreciate that aspect from what these players are doing.
Yeah, I think that's right. Brewer and James, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, James.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. It was like, I'm going to refer this whole New Mexico thing. I think it was back in 2005, something like that. UCLA was number 2 in the NCAA tournament on the West Side, and the games were played in Sacramento, right? Living in the IE, I flew to Sacramento, and then watched the game, and then everybody met at the hotel where UCLA stayed and stuff like that. But the thing is, it was kind of everybody would fly in from the IE, Derek Collison's mom and dad and stuff like that, and then fly back, and it was a home field. You know what I mean? And then with looking at New Mexico, I watched them play the other day, and I really was thinking about you guys and stuff and watching it. What happened last night is that going on is that they're staying in these motels, right? and they're seeing each other every day. They're not seeing outside people. They're not seeing alumni. They're not seeing anybody. They're just seeing they're seeing each other every day. And it gets old, you know? And then when they went to this guy's house and had dinner and stuff like that, it became home again. It became comfy. It became warm, you know? And with this pandemic and stuff like that, you know, people can't travel and they can't follow the team and stuff. And it's like, you get, like, it's old. It's the same old thing. We're gonna eat at the motel, then we're gonna go to bed, blah blah blah. And when you break the monotony of that, you get a kind of a feeling to, all right, this is good. We could do this, you know. And I watched the Lobos play, man, and I was watching them, and I was like, man, it seems like nobody wants to pull the trigger, you know, and they kind of play tentative. But that's to be expected because the season is it's not a full throttle season. It's a half season. You're just like going through the motions. But after what you guys are talking about last night, and they, you know, did pretty good. That's what happens when you break the chain, the monotony. You break the same old thing. You break it, and it feels good sometimes. So, hey, thanks, guys.
Man.
Have a good one.
No, thanks. I appreciate that. I think there's a lot to it. Biggest thing out of that call, do you know what the IE is that he referred to twice?
Inland Empire?
That's correct. Ding, 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 ding,
ding. Let's go.
What Lobo great, well, a few of them, but one of your favorites hails from the Inland Empire. Rancho Cucamonga would be in the inland. Yeah, exactly. Rancho Cucamonga in the Inland Empire. Some referred to it as the Inland Dumpster, but that's a whole nother story. At the IE. All right, we're going to talk football when we come back. Danny Nee's going to be with us, former Aggie great and analyst on Aggie Vision. We're going to talk about the Aggies lost to Tarleton. What does it mean? Because some of you were losing your mind. And I want to get a little perspective from a guy who loves that program and is close to it. So that's next. It's on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
At Malloy Chevrolet.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll just shoot it. He's going to go all the way.
He's going to fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this, stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Could have said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Volcano Vista, but just all the different scenarios we can see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Hill, the senior pops.
No! Oh! Ho, ho, ho!
The
Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Played over to Madrid, plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Everything about it feels off. This is spring football, playing a game in February. It's your opener. You're playing Tarleton State in El Paso at the Sun Bowl. And then you get run out of the building 43-17. That's what happened to New Mexico State on Sunday Pass. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembeieda and J.J. Buck. We're going to get back to your phone calls coming up in a little bit. A lot of you were losing your minds on social media, and J.J. pointed this out to me. What does this loss mean? It's a loss in a shortened spring season when you didn't play a fall season to an FCS school. So I reached out to a guy who I respect so much. He is not just a former Aggie great. JJ, when I said this years ago when I introduced Danny, once you're an Aggie great, you're always an Aggie great. You're never a former Aggie great, right? He is my former partner on Aggie Vision, the analyst on Aggie Vision for football, and all-time Aggie great Danny Nee joins us this morning. Good morning, Danny. How you doing?
Hey, yo, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. I was waiting for that intro. I just love it. It's just like, could you beef it up a little bit more? I know you, after a while, you had me like walking on water. It's like, yes, that was me. And my wife had to say, no, that wasn't you. It's like, oh, okay, all right, you're right.
At some point, they were going to name
for having me.
They were going to name the field after you at some point. Well, I could call you, Nick Nee is a frequent guest. 6 months out of the year, he's with us every Friday, and Nick Nee just calls me Uncle Danny. So I could go with that.
Yeah. That works too.
Yeah. Hey, what did this game mean? I know Aggie fans were losing their mind. It wasn't fun. I've sat with you, and we've watched enough Aggie losses over the years. Did this one feel different? Like, what does this mean in the big picture?
Well, first, not playing for a long time, so it really felt like a first spring game, like the first time you go down and you're scrimmaging and you're trying to figure out who's where, who's what, who do we have. When you have players that are out, usually from year to year, okay, I know the corner or I know the quarterback, I got a good idea, I know what's happening underneath the center, and all of those things weren't there. So it created a confusion, maybe confusion's strong, but it created a lot of unrest, and it just never got in a rhythm. The big meaning, we got to play. We got to play after a year of doing nothing, and a lot of teams in Texas, including the little middle school that's down the street from me, have been playing for a long time. So it means we're on the field, and we're making things happen. It's been a long time, and they needed that. The loss, it's never easy, right? And getting your nose punched. I know Mike Tyson had a great saying, right? It's like, hey, got this strategy, but the minute you walk into a ring, they punch you in the nose, there goes your strategy. Kind of like that. So it was tough, I'm sure, for coaches to say, look, we're going to still maintain our strategy, play a lot of players, see what we have, but I'm sure it was very difficult. So it was a tough loss, but maybe we needed to do that to get back to playing again, Jeff.
Danny, JJ Buck, you mentioned the start of the game. You're probably looking at that depth chart, that roster, and like, man, there's a lot of guys that I'm going to have to learn. So from the start of the game to the end of the game, what did you see? If you put your coach hat on in that respect, who were the Aggies by the end of that game?
Yeah, JJ, you're right. We talked to Adam Young to do the play-by-play, and we said, okay, Adam, after a while, when we start getting past our too deep and getting down, is it allowed to just say, hey, there's a dude, that dude made a good play, because there are so many new players, and it made it hard to track. So that was a little difficult. But what did we see that really, from the start to the finish? JJ, I think the second half, the defense started coming around. Middle linebacker, our linebacker, we have two guys that are returning. One of them is a 2-year starter, Devin Richardson, playing the will. And that Mike, the middle there, Las Lunas kid, Trevor Bohard, who had been hurt, hadn't played his best. He played well. So the second half, after, getting your nose bloodied a little bit, they played a strong second half. So I think there's a lot to be said about the defense, and they need to restrict the scoring, right? So your offense, it's going to take time. You can't give up 43 points and win a game. So defensively, strong defense. Front line, need a little work. Secondary, it's going to take a lot of attention without a doubt.
Danny, to that point, as a competitor, anyone who's playing a game, if you're keeping score, you want to play to win. But how do you kind of talk to the fans who just see that score, might have seen some of that game, and are just going crazy? But the reality, as you said, the coaches played so many guys. It was the first time on the football field in 450 days. So how do you remove some of that emotion when you see a scoreboard like that?
Yeah, JJ, it's a good question. It's a tough question because I had to take a deep breath. And after the game, I drove back to Albuquerque from El Paso and spent a little time on the phone with my wife, who had to talk me off the ledge. And then both sons called, Jordan and Colin, and just said, okay, dude, it's okay. Because you're right. It is absolutely getting to the point where it's like, God dang it, let me play. I think I can do it. I'll just limp on the field. It's hard. It's very difficult to maintain and say, Coach, I see your strategy. I hear your strategy. And I'm going to buy into it. But we almost have to do that. And to really see what we do from this game to the next game is going to be very important, I think. Because then now you've seen one. You get to see corners and safeties. Heck, we had a receiver playing free safety, right? We had Caleb Mills, who caught 9 passes last 2019. He's playing safety. Does he really know everything? No, not really. But can he play? Maybe. We're hoping so. And so you're looking for improvements from week to week, and this week it'll be 2 weeks to Dixie State. But let me just say, JJ, Tarleton, they're tough. As soon as I watched them play, I was going to go down to Stephenville, and it was like 20 degrees, and it's like, no, I'm not driving there from Dallas. And Tarleton is tough, and I called the coaches and said, what are we going to do? Because these guys are tough, and they stayed with the strategy of trying to figure out what they had. But they were a good team. They were a tough team, and I take nothing away from them.
He's Uncle Danny. Danny Nee, we're taking a look back, a kneecap, if you will, of the Aggies 43. You get that kneecap? A 43-17 loss to Tarleton. Danny, I said this yesterday, and I can't even believe it came out of my mouth. It kind of makes the Dixie State game a big deal. To go 0-2 against FCS in the spring season probably wouldn't sit well with Aggie fans, probably wouldn't sit well with Doug Martin. I don't want to sit here and call a March game against a FCS team a must-win, but it's kind of a big deal, isn't it, for that program?
Well, I think if you speak to Coach Martin, and you do, I know, he'll say it's not. From Aggie fans and other former players that I've seen on social media and that I've spoke to, it's kind of a big deal to us, So us, the fans, want to say, you got to show improvement. We got to be better. You got to be able to not just take a punch. You got to throw a punch, And is it too early to call it a must-win game? Maybe. I don't know. It's the first time I've called spring game, so maybe it's a little early to say, oh, this is a must-win. But it's an important game, without a doubt, to see what you do, because after this, you have to pick your best 11 on both sides of the ball and say, these are it. And we're going to ride these guys. So it's going to be in a very important game for sure.
Did you see enough talent to make you feel good about what assuming there's a fall season, what you're going to go into the fall with?
Jeff, there is a lot of talent there. It's now trying to figure out the best hand. So do we need to throw a couple cards back and get a couple more? Yeah, for sure. Is there enough talent? We have some guys missing. I was really looking forward to seeing Omari Samuels play, the running back from Las Lunas, the 4-star that went to Michigan, and then we picked up. He was warming up on the field, and Adam said, there he is right there. That's him. He's a beast. He's an animal. I just so much wanted to see him run over someone. So you get him. You have a tight end they're big on. Need more tight end play. Love tight end play. Thomas Woodford, he's coming back. Eli Johnson at the center. It's important to have a good center. He's a graduate coming in from Mississippi. We had issues there. You get some of those guys on there, and there could be enough to make an impact and make a run at this 21 schedule.
Danny, what's the quarterback competition look like this year for New Mexico State?
Well, so I was really looking forward to seeing Jonah Johnson just air it out. I heard from the practices, of course I didn't get to attend, but Adam and others were saying, Jonah's got a great arm, man. He's got a fantastic arm, and he does. And we saw it, a couple times. He just flicked the ball and just like screaming down the field. He's got it, and he's a big Bubba. I mean, they list him at 235, but he looks like 245 easy. Strong arm. He made some judgment errors. Maybe it's hard. Had 3 interceptions. A couple of them that he shouldn't have thrown. One of them we should have been caught, and he didn't. So Jonah, he looked like I thought he was going to be the guy, going to be a big dual threat. Still could be. That was his first game. Wyatt Egan, I hear, is going to get the next game, and I think after that, coach is going to have to pick one. He may have a very tough decision, even though Jonah is more of the mature guy coming from the JC, having had some action, not at this level, but some. He could have a tough decision, and I think it's still wide open. I really do. I think there's things we need to improve on, and it has to start with a good quarterback. Gosh, look at Tarleton's quarterback, right? He didn't even play but 5 or 6 plays last week, and he came out here and just was on fire. And we could certainly use someone that will be able to do that.
Yeah, he was a backup. I think that was one of the things that was so disconcerting to Aggie fans as you're reading some of the reaction was they had 5 starters out on COVID, their quarterback, and their running back, 2 linemen, and a receiver, and they still did what they did. I think, Danny, the quarterback situation's got to go into fall camp. What we saw on Saturday and 2 games in the spring is going to have. I mean, that's my gut. It's going to have to open the competition through the fall.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're right. You're going to see 2 games that they're going to play, and then from there it will go into the fall, and then it's going to be a coin toss.
All right, my friend. It's great to hear you. I miss you. I miss doing the games with you. Give my best to Sarah, please. I miss just going down there and hanging out with you. You're the best, and let's do this again, and let's catch up soon. I see pictures of you out at your nephew's place. Let's get out there. I love Sandia Golf Club, and let me know when you got some time. We'll go hit the ball around. Maybe bring JJ with us.
Yeah, let's hit it around there because I could sure use coaching from Nick. He's the man, and I love playing with him because no matter where I hit the ball, Jeff, he always says, "Hey, Uncle Dan, it's okay. That plays. It doesn't matter where the ball is." So I love playing with him. Thanks,
when
Jeff
you're
and
him,
JJ.
Yeah, when you're him, everything plays, right? When you're
Everything
that good,
plays, right,
everything
right.
plays. Be well, Danny. Appreciate your time.
Okay,
it's good to hear you.
Okay,
Take care.
guys. All right.
See
you later, Hal.
Danny. One of the good guys. Just one of the flat out, just good guys. And his perspective's good, man. Like he's trying to. It sounded like to me he's trying to walk the line and tell you, it's just a game. But like he said, him and former players that he's spoken with, man, former players, alum, they lost their mind over this.
That's hard. It's one where you realize, all right, you have a former wide receiver playing safety. You're going 3-4 deep at certain positions, just getting guys out there. So you're following really a scrimmage plan, but yet it's on TV. There's a scoreboard. Aggie fans are watching for the first time in 450 days, and you get emotional.
Yeah. All right, 505-246-0610. 888-922-0610. That's how to get to us today on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Love to hear from you. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Gasser. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down. ProView Networks tonight.
District mashup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh! Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
And he scored!
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did!
Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage. Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portell.
Lewis and on a play action looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
So Davison back to tossing. He's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling.
He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
Hey, we told you he
touchdown.
could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the wind at his back, but.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends.
All right, hope you enjoyed that. I did. By the way, JJ, I don't know if you know this. New Mexico State doesn't do buyouts anymore. Did you know that... well, let me ask you this. Hal Mummy, do you know the school still owes him $240,000 NMSU? That his debt will not be paid off until 2027, which will be 19 years after he was fired at New Mexico State. Which, I when you get bought out, do you want your money up front? I guess you probably do. But if they say... What's 2027 is another 4 year, another 6 years, right? Let's call it 7 years. So what's that? 7 times, was that $30,000 a year? So he's getting $35,000 a year over 20 something years. I mean, that's how they bought him out. But yeah, so 2027 is when Hal Mummy's going to be bought out. Isn't that crazy?
That is pretty crazy. Buyout plan.
Doug Martin's got this year and next year left on his contract, by the way. So the coming season, the 2021 football season, the 2022 football season. And, Mario's in a tough spot in a lot of respects because what do you do, right? You never see a coach go into his last year of a contract. You can't recruit. What are you going to do? But they're in a really, really tough situation there. 505-246-0610 is how to get to us today. 888-922-0610. Your emails are coming in this morning. Jeff at 610knml.com. JJ at 610knml.com. On the Twitter, it's _ JJ Buck. And on the Facebook, the OD in the AM. Danny, first of all, on the quarterback situation, right? That goes to the fall, does it not?
Yeah, you'd expect it to. Unless... maybe injury happens or something, the coaches see that one guy really jumps out. That's going to be an ongoing competition going into the fall.
Yeah, I guess I don't see that in either way. I just wanted to get his perspective on the Dixie State game. It's bizarre. It shouldn't feel any different than I did about the Tarleton. It's not that big of a deal. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I don't know. It kind of feels like it's kind of a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
It's a deal now. The way they lost that game, the reaction from the fans, hearing from Danny and some other players that he's talked to, it absolutely shouldn't. That's just essentially a glorified scrimmage because it happened to be televised. Like, there are cameras there while Tarleton State took you to school. And
ran up and down the field, yeah.
When you're watching that game, you see the scoreboard, the lack of defense, Tarleton State doing whatever they want, and then you start hearing, as you said, it's their backup quarterback, and the things along those lines. It's their first time transitioning to FCS football. Like, all those things just start weighing you down, where, you start to understand why you got some of that reaction over the weekend and the last couple of days from Aggie fans on a game that doesn't mean anything. However, as you said, pointed out yesterday, like, is this a crazy thing to say? Well, it's not crazy when people are going, you know what, if you get blued out again, what kind of hope or expectations or excitement are you going to have in the summer when they're like, yeah, Aggie football's back in the fall, and you're like, well, are you?
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. Where's your team? You didn't see him. You've heard of best recruiting class we've ever had and all these things. And I like I told you the other day, I thought they would lose that game. I just did. I think Tarleton's a good program. You hadn't played in forever. Everything's new. I just didn't think they'd get run off the field like that. I didn't think it would be 43-17. And then to your point, listening to the chatter after, and I didn't see it Sunday night. Like I told you, I went and made dinner and hung out with my kid, and I didn't see all the post-game noise, but I sure as hell saw it yesterday and heard it yesterday. And
2 minutes.
People were pissed. Like people were pissed about a game that they couldn't go to, probably didn't even know was happening until the day before, right? And lost their mind over some February football game. And the way you put it is probably right. Why is that? Yeah, because of all of those factors. It was a FCS team. It was an FCS team whose quarterback and 2 linemen and 5 starters were out on COVID, who they're transitioning to FCS from Division II. That all of those things. Aren't we supposed to be Division I? Well, yeah, you're supposed to be. Yeah.
It shows you, whatever you do, if you don't do it for a long time, you're gonna be rusty.
It's kind of the basketball scenario, isn't it? Kind of the basketball scenario.
450 days between live football games.
Yep. All right, let them play. Let them play. Let them play. It's not only a hashtag. It's not only a chant. Now there's a GoFundMe page. What's next for high school athletes in this city, while many around the state are being allowed to play? It's the opening drive. We're on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Let's get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's going to fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much. Tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this, stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Couldn't have said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Channel Vista, but just all the different scenarios we can see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Hill, the senior pops.
No! Oh! Ho, ho, ho!
The New The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Played over to Madrid, plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim.
Two-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembeieda, and J.J. Bach.
Let them play. More movement, or movement's not the right word, more activity yesterday in regards to Albuquerque Public Schools and the NMAA and the governor's office and the PED in regards to athletes locally in Albuquerque Public Schools being allowed to play sports. 65% of the schools in the state have opted into a hybrid type of learning model moving forward, which means that those students are eligible for extracurricular activities sponsored by the NMAA, including athletics. Albuquerque Public Schools, the state's largest school district, is not going back to hybrid. The school board met again last night. I don't think there was any chance last night, JJ, that they were going to change. APS has asked the governor, asked the PED to change, to decouple sports eligibility from the hybrid model. That doesn't look like that's going to happen. And so now it's going to go to litigation. There is a GoFundMe page. They're trying to raise $30,000 to get an injunction. JJ, athletes have been moving out of state. Van Tate reported it last night. Amari Brown, who is the incredibly talented freshman at Siembeieda, the son of former Lobo great and Albuquerque High coach Greg Brown, is leaving. He's going to Atlanta so he can play. And I can't blame them. The state, whoever you want to blame, and I think it's the state, but you want to blame whoever you want to blame. It doesn't matter at this point. It's letting the kids down, and I blame no one for getting out of state and going and doing what's best for their kids.
Yeah, especially if you have that ability. I know I've heard and seen a lot of families making that decision, and I'm sure, unfortunately, there's a lot more that can't, especially everything that's just gone on over the last year. But if you have that ability to get back to school to participate in sport, yeah, you then take that avenue. And it's unfortunate because, there's still a lot of back and forth on this issue between people going, what are y'all upset about? It's a global pandemic. But it's like, hold up. It's the fact that you're saying it's okay to go back to school, but they voted to not go back, which is their choice, but does that need to shut down everything else? That's the holdup. That's what you were stuck at, and it's good to see at least the momentum over the last week, but people addressing that part of it and trying to decouple the decision, trying to get to the PED, saying, all right, you're saying we can go back to school. Well, guess what? They voted not to. Okay, but why can't we do these other things?
Yeah. To your point, JJ, the helplessness of the student. With the adults in the room, they can't figure it out. You're saying it's safe to go back to school, but the adults are telling me, well, okay, but I can't. And I'm hearing everything, JJ, that APS doesn't have everything from bus drivers to janitors hired, right? That they're not in a position where they can go back, that they can find enough people that want to go back. and get this done. I'm going to tell you firsthand, all right? And I know I've injected a lot of personal stuff into this particular story. My child went back to school yesterday in a hybrid model. She practiced. I picked her up at 5:45 from practice yesterday. I have not seen my child that happy, energized. She and I talk about her day every day. And for the last 11 months, certainly during the school year, how's your day? It was good enough, Dad. It was fine. Sat in, the room, stared at the computer, went to my classes. I just, and this is a happy, fired up. She was bouncing off the walls yesterday. So I watched firsthand, literally, the difference in my child after one day back in classes, hybrid learning. So she'll go Monday, Tuesday, do online school Wednesday from the house, and go back Thursday, Friday. She practiced with her team. They ran. She's like, Dad, I haven't felt this good, and so she's like, I feel so good. It was one of the coolest things to see. That's what those kids want. I'm not telling you this to say, look what my kid can do and not yours. That's not my point. My point is, I watched it firsthand. This is what these families are fighting for. The well-being of their children, period. And for a guy like Amari Brown and others who are leaving, I get it, man. Because the system here has let them down. I don't know how else to put it, man. I watched it firsthand yesterday.
Yeah, and especially, now it's going to be even tougher when it's not just, they're doing it in other states, but they're going to be doing it in the same exact city. And as we've talked about, we've addressed multiple things, and you understand, some of the uncertainty, as you pointed out, is everything actually in place to be able to make that change? Things that need to be figured out. But if you have student athletes, you have coaches, willing, ready to go, saying we can start practice, we can get games going, why not? Why does that have to be stopped?
All right, Michael, what you tell me? Mike, is that what you told me? Is
Yep, Mike.
Mike, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'll tell you what, this is really, really disappointing. I have a nephew, actually at Siembeieda also, and I'm convincing him, you need to go now. Go to Denver, go play, get out of this godforsaken state and city. Probably APS more than anything. They are not ready for school. What the hell? These guys get paid, these people get paid crazy amount of money. If you look at the budget for APS, they get the lion's share of this meat. And I tell you what, if I was a parent still, I would not be happy, and I would be protesting. I would be knocking down their door right now. And I'm telling you what, my nephew's going to leave the state. He's going to go play ball elsewhere. I feel sorry for those that can't. I feel sorry for those that are stuck here because of finances, that they can't leave a place that won't take care of their own kids. And right now, I'm telling you, I'm pissed. And I wish people would just wake up and understand these kids have lost part of their life. Things that we who got to compete in sports remember those days. And I understand the sickness, but I understand the facts. I understand the math. These kids aren't dying. I wonder what the suicide rate is right now. And I know no one wants to bring up that subject, and it probably is unrelative to the subject here. But I think you do count, and you figure out what are chances of these kids either not having a life and sacrificing a whole generation because we're so afraid. And I understand. I'm 60 years old. Honestly, I want to live life. If my life is shortened or live in a bunker, I'll take living life. But anyways, I had to throw my hat in the ring in this conversation. I hope people consider what they need to do to protect their kids. And I think right now sports is key to life for some of these kids, and I think they need to play. And that's it, guys.
Appreciate it, Mike. And it's not unrelated. And I'm pissed too. And my kid, and look, I realize how fortunate I am. If you want to call me privileged, that's fine. I don't even care. I know how hard I work to be able to support, my family. I'm pissed too. I really believe that the system, and blame who you want to blame, and we've had this conversation countless times. It's letting our kids down, and Mike isn't overstating this. Okay, this for those of you who are just saying it's just sports, and we're in a global pandemic, and for crying out loud, it's just sports, and they can live without sports. Save it. Okay, we are at a point in this pandemic now where it has been proven around the country that is being done safely. If it is safe to go back to school, and that's what our governor and our PED have finally come around to, much later than everybody else, but they're there now. APS isn't not opening because, to the best of my knowledge, they're not saying it's not safe for the kids to go back to school. They're not going back for a number of reasons. Certainly the teachers don't feel that it's safe without being vaccinated, and I understand that, okay? But that doesn't mean it's not safe for the kids to go back to school. That you can't couple those. And that was Sarah's email the other day, and I appreciate it, but I disagree. I don't think APS is saying it's not safe for the kids to go back to school. They're saying we can't open because of we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough bus drivers, we don't have enough nurses. I'm hearing there's not enough nurses. All of these things. But if there are coaches who are willing to get out there, I for the life of me, you can't explain this to me, and nobody's been able to give me anything other than, well, if it's not safe to go back to school, they can't go athletics. But you're telling me it is safe.
Rudy
and
Evelyn.
Who you are letting down, who the unmitigated disservice is to our kids, and I'm right there with Mike because I'm pissed too.
And I understand it because we haven't been given an answer to that question of why it was, oh, well, you had to go to hybrid to play athletics. Nothing.
Yeah. All right, 505-246-0610. We're going to get back to your calls. I got 3 lines open. You can get in on the Lobo win last night, 73-65. You can get in if there's stories like that. Look, I bring this subject up, A, because it's progressing, or at least there's more to it every day. B, because I know so many of you are emotional about it, and I am. And C, I think it's important. I think it's the biggest, JJ, I really believe it's the biggest story, certainly sports story in our state. I do. And I believe it's as big as anything that's going on in Santa Fe right now at the legislature. It's our kids. And the disservice, like the adults in the room can't seem to find a way, not even seem to. And I'm angry. My kid went to school yesterday. She's going to school this morning. But I'm pissed for all these kids that don't have that chance. And it's wrong. At this point, they should. 505-246-0610 is how to get in. Jeff, it's sportsanimалabq.com. JJ at sportsanimалabq.com. Fellas, how you feeling? Aside from being angry that your kids can't go to school, how you feeling? Hopefully you're feeling well. If not, I got a place for you to call. If you're dealing with low energy or fatigue or low T, even erectile dysfunction, you can take care of that with a call and a visit. Call New Mail and you'll feel like you again. New Mail leads the pack when it comes to men's health. They're here in Albuquerque. They've helped thousands of men all over the country feel better. Nothing is more important than your health right now. Nothing. Make feeling better a priority and call New Mail. 505-652-1688 or visit newmail at numale.com. The whole process is comfortable. Guys, the results are real. From your first call all the way through your treatment, New Mail will be with you. They'll help you take care of things like low energy, even hair loss or erectile dysfunction. They've got testosterone replacement, which utilizes cutting-edge technology, and they are out front when it comes to men's health. The number's 505-652-1688. Guys, take care of yourself. Make the call. Call New Mail. Visit them at newmail.com or call 505-652-1688 and you'll feel better.
You could continuously cough for hours on end, or you could take Delsum.
Shot on and just wide, big deflection, goal.
Over this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Kid
that out of here. Watson says, here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh! Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Duma Sanchez and
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in. He got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, and up the middle. It's got some room. 50, 45, 40. Has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a...
Option again. He'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portell.
The outside of running an out route.
Davison in the play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
Davison back to tossing. He's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling.
He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
Hey, we told you he
touchdown.
Could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the win in his back, but.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
He's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's going to walk into the end zone.
I know you're passionate about this. We can continue on the conversation about the let them play, hashtag let them play. Lobos were winners last night, 73-65. That doesn't happen a lot. JJ, you got a game today?
Game day. Yes, it is. Lobo women in action at Clune Arena in Colorado Springs. 5:30 pregame, 6 o'clock tip.
Yeah. As of now, JJ's got a game today to call. As of now, we'll have it here on the Sports Animal for you today. Lobos and Air Force. All right, back to it at 246-0610. Wayne, good morning. How you doing, Wayne?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Hey, Jeff. Hey, JJ. Thanks for taking my call. And I'm enjoying the discussion. I can see that frustration is turning into anger with some of the callers, and I can hear it from others. Getting pissed off at APS and calling to crash City Center in anger, I think would be very misplaced. I think people should be more concerned with the rollout of vaccine and delays accompanied with that. Reaching herd immunity is important. Decreasing the number of new cases and hospitalizations. I guess my point is that I think that people need to be more patient, and if the vaccine program continues, if the numbers go down, perhaps in June or July, if we're facing the current punitive rules such as a moratorium on sports, then I see that as a more appropriate time to start to raise the rhetoric. And so I think I'm just calling for less impatience at this moment.
I'm going to ask you a couple things. Actually, I agree with you on the APS thing. I'm not sure that's where a lot of the anger is directed. Where this is coming from, I think a lot of it is the numbers are going down, the trends are going, and it's being done all across the country. And I think that more than one thing can be true at the same time, right? You can concentrate on the vaccine rollout, on getting the numbers down, on getting the hospitalization rates down, all of those things, and you're right, all of those things should be a priority. But that doesn't mean other things can't be a focus as well. And it's happening all around the country. It's actually happening around the state, and just not in that district. And that's where people are really getting upset. You can understand that, right?
I can see that, and that's why I do think that, I'm not clear on the justification that they're giving for that district and not for the others. But if it's clearly a different position than other districts, I really do think that there needs to be more dialogue, but certainly without anger or calls, for, protests. I do think that it's tough. There's just so many forces at play here. I was thinking about how different it would be if Susanna was our governor instead of Michelle. And I have a feeling that the discussion would be a whole lot different, but I also question whether we would have, more higher death count, more hospitalizations. It's hard to say. I do think that our governor's going, heavy on the cautious end, and I'm kind of at a loss about it. But I know if they continue with the current level of caution as the numbers continue to decrease, I do think that people should then raise the rhetoric. But I still feel like we're kind of early in the battle.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate his sentiment. I'll disagree with him. But I just, and I should have asked Wayne. I didn't. Does he have kids? Right? I mean, to watch everybody else, and to your point, JJ, not just around the country, but now watching people in your city be able to do something and you're told you can't because the adults in the room don't want to open. I don't want to say don't want to. Can't, for whatever reason, allow this hybrid model. It's a tough one to swallow, and I think both things can be done at the same time, because I agree, and I think you do too. Vaccine rollout, hospitalization, getting the pandemic controlled is the priority, but we can do more than one thing at a time.
Yes, you can. The safety of the teachers, the safety of the students is still important, because while a lot of people will point to the death rates, etc., yeah, that's understandable, but there's still a spread you want to limit, even when you get kids in that situation, because you are going back home, and even when you are okay with that decision, I still want to take as many steps possible to prevent your kid or the rest of your family from contracting it right now. So that's understandable, but it's also a situation in which we keep saying over and over and over, there's not a good reason that these are paired together. No one has the answer for, oh, this is why you have to go to hybrid to play sports. Doesn't make sense, because if you're saying, hey, you can go back to school, but they're not ready, okay, but why can't you do other things if you're ready for it? If teams are ready to play, student athletes are ready to get back to practice, why can't that happen? That's all we're asking.
It's exactly right. Rudy, it's exactly right. No, I mean, it seems so sensical, too. Rudy, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing
Hello,
good.
Rudy.
That was good for the heart and good for the soul last night to see the team finally shake everything off and play not a full 40 minutes, but that was as complete a basketball game as they played all year. And I think Saquon Singleton might have found his calling. 13 assists? You kidding me? They had 22 assists, I think, on 30 made baskets. That's great sharing the ball. Sometimes you can overshare, but last night it was just enough. So I was really impressed that they were able to do that because let's turn it around, okay? Imagine if Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham lived by the same rules that she applies to everybody. Let her schlep around between Arizona, Utah, Texas, for 6 months, living out of a hotel, not knowing whether the food you're touching is COVID positive or not when you could be at home. This whole thing is insane. And what she's done is insane because she won't live by those same strictures that she's making everybody else live by, Jeff. Then you find out that she's buying Crown Royal and all kinds of booze and entertaining people out of her bubble at the governor's mansion. And, but it was work-related, right? Yeah, I guess you work with Crown Royal and wine and beer. So I've pretty much had it with all of this, and the rhetoric is up, and people are sick of this. Because if you want to force us to live like this, then you have to live like this. And she hasn't done any of that, and she's felt none of the pain that all these people out here have. They just want their kids to do something other than sit at home.
They want their kids to be healthy and grow, mentally healthy, physically healthy, grow, live, do something that they're doing almost everywhere else around the country. That's all.
Yeah. And when you see your neighbors next door in Arizona and Texas and Colorado carrying on as usual and able to play home games, it's preposterous to me that New Mexico and New Mexico State, two storied basketball programs, will not play in either gym, the Pan American or the Pit this year. I just find that mind-blowing and absurd.
That's where we are.
So, back to what I saw last night. I saw a team that's finally coming together because they've had a chance to finally play together enough and practice together enough to find some rhythm and to find some ways to play that suit their individual talents. And I don't think I've ever been more proud of a Lobo team to fight through so much adversity. To not play one single game in one of the most storied basketball arenas. And the announcers keep talking about it. They missed the Pit, too. Okay?
Yeah.
So enough's enough. It's time to put away these silly, stupid rules that benefit absolutely nobody. Look at our COVID numbers. They're per capita the 18th highest. Everybody goes, well, if she didn't do this, it would be worse. No, you can't assume that, and you can't say that. That is absolutely a false equivalent. So it's time to open things back up and see what happens. We're taking patients, COVID patients from other states in our hospitals. You know that, right?
Yeah, I knew that. I've been doing that for a while. So here's what I think, and I honestly believe this. And JJ, I think you're near where I am. I think it's time to ease. I don't know that it's time to swing the doors open, but Rudy, and I think that's where you are. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's time to start easing open. Whether that means hybrid schools, whether it means allowing the Lobos to play at home, even without fans to begin with. It does feel like the numbers, the trends, the science is saying it's time to ease in. We still have not got the pandemic under control. People are still dying. People are still hospitalized. We're still trying to get vaccinations into everybody. But it feels like the country is starting to ease into some of these things.
It's our numbers are not that bad, and I feel bad for anybody who's lost any loved one. But I've lost loved ones for non-COVID related issues all through this pandemic, and have not been able to properly mourn them. Have not been able to properly, couldn't even have anything, a public remembrance at Lobo Field for Rich Alday. I just think that's.
Yeah,
it just really gets me.
Look,
okay?
I get that. I get that. All right. Appreciate you, Rudy.
Take care. Thanks for the time.
All right. JJ, I mean, where are you on that? You ready to swing the doors open? You ready to stay shut? Or do you feel like it's time to start easing?
It's time to start easing. And yes, what our focus is, of course, is in athletics. But as we've seen, the trickle-down effect, the importance that has at all levels, high school and even other sports, extracurricular activities, which I'll fly the flag for that as well. If there's other things that your student wants to do or can do with a club or a team of that type, I'm all for it, because it makes no sense to me. You can tell me, I can go to a restaurant, go eat at a restaurant, even if it's distance, but yet you can't play a sport in this state.
Right.
With athletes that are being at the collegiate level that are being tested on a weekly basis, but we can all go sit down and eat our nachos in the same room, and who knows where we all been.
I went to lunch yesterday, and there were people in the restaurant. There was a guy sitting right there, and the lady sitting right there, and people across the table. But kids at Siembeieda High School can't run across country and meet in a mask. I'm listening, man. Like Wayne, I'm listening. It's. I agree with you. We got to get the priority's got to be putting this thing to bed, getting vaccinations out. But we can do more than one thing at a time. Everybody else is doing it. There's a way. We don't even have to invent the wheel. It's being done. It's the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
But he did a good job with it. First and goal. It's Chavez to the middle. And Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly. Cardinals fly. To the other side. Provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown. Webskowski. All day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man! Touchdown! Wildcat! Not a defender inside. A little bit. Skowski on the sideline! Hasta mañana! He's off to the races! Touchdown, Clovis!
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabbed. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go. His
Ford driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good. Pass on the nice block by Hernandez Crawford.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalan's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalan wants to put it down. Here comes Las Cruces. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transitions, 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan.
Freddie says my son plays basketball with Greg Brown's son Amari, and he told me Amari's moving to Atlanta so he can play for sure. Yep, that's what we were telling you about. I think Van Tate had that story last night. 505-246-0610. We're talking a little basketball at 9. Jeff Grammer's going to be with us, the beat writer from the Journal, who I think does more guest radio appearances than anybody, including probably Jerry Palm in America, right?
He does a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he'll be with us coming up at the top of the hour. Let's go to it. Ray, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good morning, Ray.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, look, it's a tough situation. I'm on the fence. I know these kids are suffering. They need to play. What they're losing, they're never going to get back. But to Rudy, 500,000 people have died.
Yeah.
You know, and these personal attacks on the governor, that just brings him down to a level that, you know, it's way down there. So he needs to chill out, let it play out, and things will get back to normal, you know. And just because this guy lost in November is no reason to attack the governor. Thanks, guys.
All right, Ray. I don't think that's the reason that Rudy's attacking the guy. He's angry as a lot of people are. I don't know that it's as personal as it is policy, and maybe I'm wrong. Bottom line is, JJ, and I think we lose sight of that sometimes, and 500,000 people have died. People are still dying. The pandemic is not gone. The numbers are coming down to a point where, and again, this is, Ray and I are not all that far apart, and I think you're pretty much where I am. I'm struggling, but it feels like we're getting to a point, the numbers are coming down, vaccinations are getting out, and it feels like, especially with this subject, we can ease back into it. And again, I'm going to point to it's being done safely all over America. You don't have to invent the concept. You can adopt it and implement it. And what's killing the APS people more than anything else, I think if they would have said, no sports, boom, that's it. It would have sucked, and they'd have moved on. It's Ray. The point is the coupling with the hybrid model, and 65% of the schools in the state are moving forward, and The APS kids are not, and that's what's really, really bothering a lot of people. And I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, it's moving forward, still doing things safely, and it's, still like I'm not all of a sudden just gonna go start bouncing around personally to everyone I know. This past weekend I did go out and eat lunch for the first time in a long time.
Big deal, huh?
A different feeling. I went to the gym for the first time since last March, and I was nervous. But the place I went, they did a fantastic job in the setup. You had to wear a mask, and I did 2 high-intensity training sessions with a mask on, and guess what? It wasn't that bad. And so it was it's things like that. It's still taking others' safety into account, masking up, distancing, but doing things responsibly, as you say, ease it forward. It can be done.
I'm going to go back to kind of a conversation from like March and April, maybe May. I had this with a buddy of mine in Houston last week. And it comes back to the, just do it kind of a thing. Like remember when we were, I'm not wearing a mask to go into a restaurant. Just wear your damn mask. Like they said the science says it doesn't protect anybody, but then they learned more and they realized it does. Like wear a mask. If my whole concept, my whole thought process was, if it allows me to go have lunch, go to a whatever, I'm going to wear a mask. To you get to go to the gym, wear the mask. I don't think it's going to be forever. And B, if it's protecting other people and maybe even you, man, it's inconvenient. We're in a global pandemic. But there's got to be a fine line here. And this is where it comes down to the kids. This is what's really bothering people. Where's the fine line? What am I willing to accept? And I can hear Ray where he says, I'm on the fence, right? Bottom line, 500,000 people have died. Well, Jeff, damn it, they would have died anyway, and it wasn't. Are we really having a debate that this virus is killing people? We're not, right? Let's stop. We all want to beat the virus. We all want our kids to play sports. We all want to go to a ball game or go to the gym or go to the movies or go to a bar. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take sacrifice. I've already sacrificed. All right, you're going to have to sacrifice more. You're going to have to sacrifice more. But when we're trying to be logical about this, and when you're telling me the kids in Rio Rancho can go play football and swim and play cross country and play tennis, and the kids across the county line in Albuquerque or down the hill at Siembeieda can't, okay, let's have a conversation. Why? That's all. That's what this is about. This isn't about the virus. Is it real? Is it killing people? And is our governor killing people? Okay. This is the conversation. This is why APS parents are so unhappy, angry. So Ray and Wayne, that's what this is about. Why can the kid up the hill at Rio Rancho go into that school, play football or play basketball or run cross country, and your kid at Albuquerque High or Rio Grande or Siembeieda or El Dorado cannot? The inequity in that is what's got people so upset. And I'm just trying to refocus this. We can take this a million places. The bottom line is, more than one thing, Jeffrey says this all the time, more than one thing can be true, JJ. And in this case, many things are true. Many things are true. The pandemic is real. That is true. The pandemic is not defeated. That is true. But there's an inequity as far as how these kids are being treated. That is also true. And there's a safe way for these kids to go back and play sports. Also true. Any of that not true?
I agree with you. I'm right there with you. You can do these things safely. And understanding, there's a risk involved. And it's not ignoring any of these factors. As you said, it's not downplaying anything. It's, all right, the step forward in this case doesn't make sense. You have to be in hybrid to do other things. And we keep pointing out what is going on overall. And yeah, these coaches, I know they've been talking to their friends other coaches around the country. Hey, what are you doing? What's working? How are you handling these things? So the information is there. If you have coaches ready to go, you have teams that want to practice, want to play some games. Hopefully you can get that done and see them on the field.
That's all. All right. Jeff Grammer, top of the hour, 505-246-0610 is how to get to us today. Jeff at sportsanimalabq.com, JJ at sportsanimalabq.com. That's how you can get to us. And I really suggest follow JJ on the Twitter because it's a terrific follow. Hey, you spent tens of thousands of dollars on your new vehicle, and it looks great. But then you get it out on the road, and there's danger on them there roads. That's what I want you to call on-the-spot automotive detailing, because those rock chips, those salt, the bugs, the dust, enemies for your paint job. And On the Spot is the expert for ceramic coating. This is not just a normal wax job now. This lasts for 5 years and is the best protection you can give your vehicle's paint job. And a new paint job can cost you thousands of dollars. Protect the paint job you've got. Call On the Spot Automotive Detailing. The number is 505-859-2859 or go to otsdetailing.com. They will come to you. That's on the spot. Wherever, whenever is convenient for you. I don't know where they are. Doesn't matter where they are. They know where I am. They know where you are if you let them. They'll come to your office, to the driveway, to the house, detail your vehicle. When they're done, it's like the day you took it off the lot. On the Spot Automotive Detailing. Give them a call, 505-859-2859 or go to otsdetailing.com.
Last night's sleep interrupted by...
Ramos, rise and fire. He's fouled.
You know, he used to coach for Del Norte. And
here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the... Behind the back of the dribble. Trying to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And Hotman sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. DC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh! Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Jay Bustos brings it up. Barnes Tompkins, alley-oop. How about it? That was redunculous.
Turnover. Cable to the big fella might try to jam one home.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off Romero. A three for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good...
Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, but he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, a little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer.
Look at this, they're going to score again. Look at this.
Up top. Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the 3, and he buries it.
Gonna be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen. Against White. Step back. It's blocked. JB with the block.
In transition. Ahead to hit on. Hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Minutes to go. They've got a shot. They have a chance. And it's put up. And it's good. What a 3 that is by Jalen.
Sorry. Hito puts it up.
We are going to turn the corner here in a second. We're going to talk global basketball at the top of the hour. Jeff Grammer is going to be with us, the beat writer for global basketball. When was the last time Grammer was on our show?
It's been a while.
Hosting us? Yeah.
I think he's, like you said, he's very popular around the radio world.
That's right.
Been on almost every show all the time, which is fine, but I think it's a good time to catch up with him, especially with the news that's trickling out. Mark Ziegler was all over it the last couple days, and it looks like there will indeed be games played next week for Mountain West basketball. So, update there.
New Mexico will play who next week?
I don't know if they've made that official, but looking at the story that Ziegler put out last night, the league has said, yeah, y'all are playing. So
good. Well, it should be.
We'll find out probably today or tomorrow what that schedule is going to look like.
All right. So that's coming up at the top of the hour. Dave sent me an email and kind of encapsulated everything we're trying to say, and it sounds like it's coming from the point of a parent. It says the Rio Rancho hybrid. Jeff, what I don't understand is, one, why was Rio Rancho's plan approved? How did they get that seemingly back room deal approved to only have elementary, 6th graders, and 12th graders on campus? 90% of the athletes competing won't step onto campus for school, but will be eligible to play. How is that fair and equitable? 2, my next question, he says, is if they're able to do that and be approved, why can't APS do the same? He says this has turned into a pissing contest between the governor, the head of PED, and APS, and the state won't admit their stance on this is wrong. It's not a health issue anymore since they're allowing certain schools to play. It's not an emphasis on education and getting kids in class issue since the majority of student athletes in other districts will opt out of the classroom and still be eligible to play. Our APS kids are the victims in all of this. It's from Dave. First of all, I mean, I hope you're not trying to say, hey, they shouldn't be able to play either. This should be, our kids should be, not theirs shouldn't, and I don't believe that's what he's saying. The best thing that I've heard on this, and you said it last week, it's okay to change. It's okay to say, you know what, we're wrong. Remember back on masks? Oh, masks don't help. And then they got more information and they changed and said, you know what, masks do help the spread. Remember at the beginning, don't buy masks. Keep them for our people, people on the front lines. And then it was build masks. They actually do help. And then, so people who were anti-virus didn't want to believe the virus. Well, see, they told us it didn't work. No, stop. It's okay to gather more information and change. And you said it, and it's the best thing I've heard on this. And it's what Dave is saying here. Like just say, you know what? Here's a better way to do it, more equitable, and let's proceed.
It's okay. That's what life is. It's learning about things. It's trial and error. It's gonna be a situation where, yeah, we set it up this way, but we have new information, realize that way didn't work, so this is what we're going to do. And hearing everything laid out in what other school districts are doing, the challenges with it all goes back to one thing. Can you still play sports? The answer should be yes. But unfortunately, right now for APS, it's no, and that's what everyone is wondering is why. Why?
Yeah. That's the funniest thing that's happened to me today.
Someone get that man a coffee.
Micah just yawned the 2-minute Q&A.
It's like Yogi Bear was giving us
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. There's a picnic basket. Come on, boo-boo.
2 minutes, guys.
Let's go, boo-boo.
Go to bed, Micah.
Damn. You're working too many jobs, dude. This is what happens to all our producers, huh?
You turned into that producer that was like, I didn't go to bed till 4 a.m.
Yeah. Who's next? I mean, is that kind of where we are now? Oh, no. Is that what you're doing to us?
Nope, I'm fine. just a slight little yawn. Just so happened to be right in your ear.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, guys.
Some people burp their words, and Micah yawns his words.
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute, boo-boo. All right. We're going to turn the page when we come back. So Lobos win 73-65. They beat Air Force. Big quad shot was, I thought, kind of put things away. We'll talk with Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal when we come back. What's next week got in store? All that's next. You're watching ProView Networks and listening to the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
Moreno extra pass. And Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's going to run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Domina Lovato, and here comes Agbaiosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming.
about the lob. Tagged by Osi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish.
Natalia Chavez, good spin. Takes a.
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop to the.
Played with gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a.
Hill, little step, high window. And
Got the second.
To the middle. Here we go. 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry. Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis goes in. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo.
reverse layup.
I was waiting for the open.
Now, voted the best sports sportscaster of the year, Jeff Siembeieda, and JJ Bach.
All right, Lobos are winners last night, 73-65. I haven't been able to say that in quite some time. Second conference win for UNM, and a nice performance, a good effort. Key plays down the stretch, and just some smiles, much needed. Go over to Pilipovich's house for a meal, and boy, winner. I don't know if it was chicken dinner, but it was a heck of a dinner. Opening drive,
chicken parm dinner.
JJ Buck. Yeah.
Who knew? It was all about this game, how this season was going to play out. Like, we're hiring Dave Pilipovich for this one moment.
Yeah, boy, and it worked. Another thing we haven't said in a long time is Jeff Grammer joins our show. He's on every other show in the Mountain West region. So we kind of said, all right, you hear him everywhere else, not here, but it's been a minute or so, and it's our pleasure to welcome the beat writer for the Albuquerque Journal, who covers Lobo basketball, amongst other things, Jeff Grammer, back to the opening drive. Good morning, Jeff. How you living?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's our pleasure to have. Are you the biggest radio star in the Mountain West region when it comes to Mountain West basketball?
I don't know what the numbers are, but I know there's a big ratings jump everywhere from Cheyenne to San Diego. Everywhere in this conference, they have me on pretty regularly.
Yeah, it's good. All right, last night I thought a number of things. I thought the energy was good. I thought the post play was good. I thought defensively they played well. I haven't seen a shooting percentage like that, and I don't know when. I mean, you look at what the bigs did, and then Emmanuel Quach. And I asked JJ, I sent him a text last night, can I call it a Quach shot or is that below the belt? But I thought the Quach shots were really the knockout blows, and they put it all together. And granted, against a team that's not very good, but hell, they're not very good, and it's good to come out of there with smiles.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Against a team that's not very good, you're supposed to win a bunch of statistical categories and win by more than one possession. I know it was close, especially for Lobo fans watching down the stretch because of what they've done this year. I imagine people probably even had a sense it was even a little closer than it was. But the truth is, it wasn't close in the final 5 minutes. It was a several possession game throughout because the Lobos did what you're supposed to do with the lead, and that's hit some free throws. And they haven't done those things all year. So maybe it even seemed, even a little closer than it was, but that was what that was was a comfortable road win in the Mountain West against a team that, like you said, isn't very good, but that is a team that beat Nevada on the road. That is a team that beat Wyoming that you just got swept by. So they're capable, and the Lobos pulled it off. And they did it. I mean, you rattled off a bunch of things they did. They did it with good point guard play. They did it with good post play. They did it with high energy and defense. Those are the things you want to see out of a team, right? So I thought it was a good win all around.
You know, Jeff, you had the opportunity to have an extended conversation with McQuatch Malawach recently, and he just keeps climbing that all-time scoring list. He's going to finish inside the top 20. I think he's a fascinating player because I think McQuatch Malawach, if he happened to land on some of those other good Lobo teams, and I think he'd be absolutely legendary for his play because of the way, you know, his style kind of lets the game come to himself. But what did you take from that conversation with Malawach and just how he has handled this team, his role, and kind of being the lone leader on this roster?
Man, he's a guy that, and I said it when I talked with him then, he's going to be one of the favorite guys I've ever covered. And it's not because of a dominating personality like some other Lobos sometimes have had. It's not like, you know, he cracks us all up with jokes, or he just kind of commands a presence in the room or anything like that. What I admire most about McQuatch Malawach was he is the ultimate kind of, it's a phrase used in sports a lot, but take what they give you, and that's what he is. And whatever the situation has called for out of him in his 4 years, he's done it. If a Jaquan Lyle was going to dominate a game, he allowed that to happen. If he was needed to get 14 points in a game, he would do it. And I think he's a guy that never, I mean, he wasn't ever a problem. He's a guy that I don't think will be back next year. I mean, people listening should know that the NCAA allows for anybody that played this year to have an extra year of eligibility, and I asked him about that. He didn't say or what he said was he hasn't made the decision yet, but he's a guy that I don't think is going to come back at this point. He has an opportunity to go make some money overseas, and he probably should. You know, I mean, at this point, he's done 4 years here, and I don't know what he would be coming back to next year. So he's a guy, though, that I admire an awful lot because the way he's handled this year, but even the way he handled the previous 3 years, he never asked for the ball. He never did anything more than, okay, coach, tell me what my role is, and I'm going to go do it. And there just haven't been a whole lot of guys at the college level that I've covered like that.
Jeff Grammer's with us from the Journal. I was thinking last week, you know, who would I compare him to? Who's he like? When he's gone, he'll be thought of how. And the guy that came to my mind is Roman Martinez, a guy who Lobo fans I think are going to love. He's not a great player. He's a really good player, and there's really not a bad thing to say about him. And he got better over the years and grew into a leader role.
I would agree with that. There's one other guy that I've thought of him as well. There's one other guy that I thought of on a whole different level because this guy's still playing in the NBA. But Tony Snell was a guy who was almost passive at times. And he was on a team that had other stars around him, and he let them go be stars. And almost to a fault at times with Tony Snell until that breakout final month that he had, you know, his junior year. He let everybody else go be stars, and he would just do his job. Now, McQuatch doesn't have that ability level, that skill set, but he's been that guy that for the most part, when he had people around him, he just kind of let them do their thing. And if it was asked of him to do something, he would. I think he is a guy, though, that like you mentioned with Roman, that comparison's a good one because the mindset he brings in that locker room is I don't think Roman was a guy that ever commanded anything of everyone else in that locker room until it was absolutely needed. Well, with McQuatch, I don't think anything was ever asked of him or needed of him until this year, the senior year. And if you ask the guys, they all respect him so much. They bring him up unsolicited sometimes in post-game pressers. And he's a guy that doesn't command a whole lot of presence until it's time, and then they know it's, you know, if McQuatch is talking, it's time. And I respect him for that as well.
Now, Jeff, this team's 2-13 in conference play. They're not a good basketball team this year, but watching them play, I feel like when we talk about development, there are some players that could be really good role players if we're able to hit on a player or two. When you look at this team, have you seen the development, even if it's just been in spurts with any of the players?
Of course. I think if you're telling me that, you know, 13-assist game out of Saquon Singleton was what he was doing the first 4 or 5 games this season, that would be wrong. If you're telling me, certainly with like a guy like Jeremiah Francis coming off the bench, he played 30 minutes last night, had 8 points, 4 assists, and no turnovers. Like he's found a role and kind of developed into a good position right now. Isaiah Marin didn't do a whole lot last night, but you could see in the Wyoming series, I think he as a freshman has developed into a good role. I do think this is a team full of role players, led by probably Makwach Malawach. I don't think there's an alpha really on this team, and there's not a go-to scorer really, but I do think that this is a team with a whole lot of role players, and I have seen development. I know people that have their mind made up about what should happen with this team and what should happen with this coach don't want to hear these things, but they've actually been competitive for 5 games now. They took Fresno State to overtime 5 games ago. They were competitive in the second Fresno State game down the stretch. They were competitive with Wyoming with another overtime game. They cut it down to 2. I know they weren't competitive for the first 10 minutes with Wyoming, but they found a way in that second Wyoming game to cut a 27-point deficit down to 2, and you can't tell me that second half wasn't an impressive half by them. And then they win last night. So, yeah, that's Fresno State, and then that's Wyoming, and then that's Air Force. But they've gotten better throughout this year, and they are a little bit better today than they were, say, a month ago. And yeah, I think a lot of the players individually have developed. Byron Matos certainly wasn't playing like he did last night about a month or 2 ago. So yeah, they're getting better, they're developing, and those are all signs you want to see out of a team. But we're grading them against the scale of a historically bad season too, and I don't deny that in any stretch.
I asked Paul about that last night, about the development, especially the bigs, and I think you can see it. Jeff, do you have another segment in you? Because I want to talk to you about what's going to happen next week as we go forward, but also just kind of how the season's been handled, and get your thoughts on that, and kind of go through what's reality and what's hyperbole. You got another segment in you?
Yep, got it.
All right, Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal. JJ, is that cool? We didn't go over that in the meeting this morning. Jeff Grammer is with us, the Albuquerque Journal beat writer for Louisville basketball. We'll continue with him next on the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animal.
College basketball is back in session.
Down the lane with the left-hand scores.
There's a run coming from
Lazy pass. Here comes Crawford. It might be showtime. Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy. And it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
They're going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovic.
That replay, I got you. Measurement. I mean, Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. It's into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. And looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
He'll throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Stepping up. Pavia now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up and wide open. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Jimmy Guyette. stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
It's Austin Smith, and to the outside, a lot of room. Look out, a foot race down the sideline. All the way on the first play from scrimmage, Chris. That's a touchdown.
Scrambling. And great hit. He bounces off outside. Got some daylight at the 20, the 10, the 5. What an incredible run.
Wants another!
Opportunity here. Martinez shoots, he scores.
Cut into it. Had some nice looks at the rim. Win. Inside. They're not going to miss this one. Two-hand hammer from Murillo.
Ball's played up. Rodriguez with it. Gonna settle. Looks to the inside. Comes to the far side push. Shot on aim. Goal. Deflected in. No.
Dorian's gonna go all the way. It was blocked by the rim. Get it out, says Kobe Wade. Ramos. Got it. Look out. Ramos, can he chase it down? It was a freebie. Saved it. And then stolen. And somehow Hasbury's got it back. Handoff. Watson.
In conference play this year, they'll do it again tomorrow. And then I believe play a series next week, and we'll get into that. Jeff Siembeieda and J.J. Buck on the opening drive. Jeff Grammer, the Albuquerque Journal, joins us. And Jeff, I want to ask you about what you think about Paul during the season. I've said a number of times, there's no precedent, there's no metric, there's nothing to compare this to, and it's not what everybody else is going through. And New Mexico State's situation is certainly even different, and they're struggling too. And so I don't want to underestimate the obstacles, the confusion, the mental health, everything that's going on. Obviously, basketball-wise, they haven't been very good. There's been times where I just figured, I've got the feeling they just don't, or Paul doesn't want to play. How do you feel Paul's done as far as communicating and just coaching, guiding this team through the season? Because it's so hard to judge because there's really nothing to go off of.
Yeah, I think this whole season, his handling of the season, people's perception of this team and this program really started a year ago before there was even a pandemic. And I think there was just it started from kind of a sour taste in people's mouth from J.J. Caldwell, Carlton Bragg, and
Yep.
The Jaquan Lyle, Vance Jackson ending of a year ago. If people came into this season with a much higher just sort of general feeling and opinion, just a positive vibe around that program, I really think this whole thing would have been framed much differently in fans' minds. But I think they came into this season, Paul was already a coach on the hot seat, and I think a lot of people have their mind made up. So everything he said and everything they did was already viewed in a lot of people's minds coming from a place where they want to get rid of him. It's hard to be in a vacuum. I think it's hard to be really critical of his constant, reminders of how bad things on the road have been. Lobo fans got really sick of it, but if you interact on, say, social media, or if I know you talk with a lot of people in San Diego, for instance, I get a different vibe from people outside of Albuquerque, really, about what the team's going through. I think a lot of people are empathetic. So, wow, what are they going through? This is amazing that they're going through what they're going through. And I feel for them. There's a guy last night on Twitter last night, a big San Diego State fan, that messaged me and said, "Don't tell any of my Aztec fans." But, man, I was pulling for them last night. I'm glad they got one. I do think that there's a whole different vibe and empathy for what the Lobos are going through, because it did to people outside of Albuquerque and outside of New Mexico. I don't think they all entered this season with their mind kind of already made up that they were, they just didn't want to hear it from a coach that maybe in their mind hasn't really succeeded to their liking. So I just think it was painted from a different picture than a fresh start point that anybody else would have had.
Yeah, Jeff, it's two things, and JJ and I have talked about this a lot. I firmly believe you're right. If there was success the last two seasons, then the Lobo fan would be more apt to give some sort of a pass. And I think we're desensitized to it. I think Lobo fan is desensitized to it because you hear that, and Paul talks about it all the time, whether he should or he shouldn't. And so I think you're right. People outside, every Lobo game you watch, you hear the broadcasters talk about their plight. And it makes sense, right? But I think Lobo fans here are A, desensitized, and B, there was no payoff the last couple of years, and so this is just a continuation of the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also, it's why last night, now by now people who read me here know that I kind of, maybe latch on to that one little nugget, sometimes that detail that tells me something you're not going to get in 30 other game stories a year. But last night they talked about having a team dinner the other night at Dave Filipovich's house. It blew my mind to really step back and realize that here we are in their second to last scheduled game of the season. Now I do think they're going to play a makeup game with CSU next week, but that's the first meal outside of a hotel setting, and that's why I asked Paul, and you guys were there on the presser. I said, "Are you sure? Is that the last one?" And he sat there and thought about it. He couldn't remember another time that they had a team meal outside of a hotel meeting room setting. Those little details, and I've talked with Dave Filipovich, who I got to know pretty well through the years as the Air Force coach. He never takes an opportunity or a conversation or text exchange with me. He never takes one of those without reminding me of just what they're going through. And he's a guy that isn't about hyperbole, and it's not like he's being interviewed or anything, and I'm sharing this with the world. This is something that sometimes I have to be reminded of is pretty unique. And I think a lot of people, and I had an exchange on social media this past weekend, a lot of people say, well, what about the women's team? They're doing good, and this just sounds like excuses. Well, my answer to all that is two things can be true. It can be horrible circumstances, and you could still want the coach to be fired. It's not a one or other kind of thing. Like, I think both things can be true. They're having a historically bad season, and the circumstances they're living through this year are pretty rough.
Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal is with us just for a few more minutes. And JJ, I want you to go, but this is what I said earlier. The highlight of this season, when it's all said and done, may end up being a dinner at Dave and Kelly Filipovich's house. And that might be their greatest.
Yeah, what the reaction from the players last night, it is crazy to think about it, that was probably the first time that they didn't have to grab a meal and go back to their room. Like, they could actually just hang out in a setting where it's relaxed, and it's crazy. But I think what you guys have hit on, being desensitized to it, is definitely a thing, because when you're a fan, all you care about is wins and losses, not necessarily all that is going on. But with that being said, Jeff, there's the one more game against Air Force tomorrow, and then what? And it sounds like the Mountain West is getting closer to figuring out what's going to happen next week.
Yeah, I think they are going to make them replay one of the games at CSU. I don't understand it. I don't know that the Mountain West is doing themselves any favors here. But long story short, today I think they're going to announce some of the makeup games that have been missed throughout the year by various teams. I don't think they're going to make them play a two-game series, but I do think they're going to have the Lobos play one of the CSU games. And in their mind, that's to help with the seeding and the regular season tournament or the regular season championship decisions and stuff like that, because CSU is looking like a team that's going to be tied maybe in the loss column with some other teams. As everyone knows by now, 4 teams at the top are doing pretty well, and they're all bunched up together. So the thing is, CSU missed 4 games. They missed 2 at Nevada games, and they missed 2 home games against UNM. The home games against UNM, obviously, are the ones they'd love to make up if you're just talking about getting wins, but the wins don't help them get in the NCAA tournament. The only way they even help them a little bit might be if they beat UNM by 25 to 30 points and just make it so statistically lopsided that the computers make them look a little bit better. But, man, I know how bad the Lobos have been and how good CSU has been, but if you're telling me that you're going to throw in an extra game right before a conference tournament and right before an NCAA tournament and risk one more time a COVID interaction and maybe have the NCAA tournament taken away from you if something happens, and the only payoff is if you beat the New Mexico Lobos by 30, that's the only way it benefits you at all. I don't know why you'd even want that, because it's not really going to help them unless it is a 30-point win. And that's just a high-risk kind of game. You have one ugly game and you only win by 20 and it hurts you. It just doesn't seem like a whole lot of payoff for CSU. At this point, I think they should just coast into the conference tournament, let those 4 teams at the top try and get in if they can into the NCAA tournament. But I don't think you add a bunch of games now in the last 2 weeks and just kind of increase that COVID risk.
So, Jeff, I'm struggling a little bit with it, and I get the other side. They created this buffer week specifically for this, to make up games. The TV money is part of it for a cash-strapped league that's going to have no fans in attendance.
Yeah, agreed on the TV part for sure, yeah.
And so that's what this was created for. So I don't feel like they're just throwing something at these schools last minute. This is really what they prepared for, and now they're executing. I understand. I think everything you said is right. And I think it's going to cost them a team in the tournament. But I understand where they're coming from and why they're doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, especially on the TV part. They have an obligation. They entered into an agreement with the TV partners to have an inventory of X amount of games, and you need to get there. That's why, too, I think some people, Leon Rice kind of led the charge earlier, about a month or so ago. Let's cut this tournament down to maybe four games, and let's cut this tournament maybe down to home sites for the opening round. The reason those things don't happen is because CBS Sports has a conference tournament they want to air in 2 weeks from the quarterfinal round, semifinals, and championship game. They don't want to then send their trucks around, the West to these different locations. So, yeah, TV obligations, and some people hear that and say, oh, it's just about the money. Well, no, it's about a contract and an agreement that the league entered into with partners that they now have. Yeah, they have to now uphold their end of the bargain, and that includes saying we're going to give you this amount of inventory. And if you want to make it financially, worth it to do what you guys all did this year, here's the money we're going to give you for these amount of games, and the Mountain West now has to provide those games. So I agree with you on that front. I do think that buffer week window, when they built it in, was wise for them to do, and I think it should have been used for series that are necessary to maybe a championship, decision. And I just don't know that playing UNM right now, I don't think UNM should have to get on a flight for any more trips than when they haven't played a home game all year. But I'll tell you what I'm surprised about is I don't think they're going to play the UNLV San Diego State series. And if you're going to make up games, those are at least, games maybe you think about making up. I do think CSU Nevada would have been a better makeup series to play, and I think San Diego State UNLV would have been a good makeup series to play.
So, JJ, was Ziegler's story this morning said he thinks they're going to play, right?
Yeah, that was what he was reporting on last night. He didn't say any specifics other than the Mountain West is going to make teams play next week.
Yeah, you're correct, and I just misspoke. They are going to play the San Diego State UNLV games. You're correct. I think they are because I don't know why I said that. I spoke with Mark yesterday, and I asked him, are they going to try and do it early and just go to the Mountain West tournament early, or are they going to go out there to Vegas and back to San Diego and then back to the tournament the following week? And that's what they're going to do. So they're actually adding a trip to Las Vegas next week to go get at least one of those games, and I don't think they'll play both. They'll just play one, and so they are playing.
All right, Jeff, lastly, as we wrap this up, how would you rank the top 4 right now in the Mountain West?
That's a good question because it comes and goes. I was all in on Boise State earlier, and then I just soured on them so much. I do think their sweep with Utah State probably got me back to thinking they're number 2, but San Diego State's my number 1 right now. I would say Boise State 2, Colorado State 3, and Utah State 4. But man, ask me in another week, and that might be different. I've been in for a little while now, and San Diego State has regained their position as the best team. I've also been in on for quite a while. CSU has the best schedule remaining. Is going to be a co-champion. Somehow they're going to be a co-champion, and it's amazing to me that they're the only original member that's never won a Mountain West men's basketball championship. So good for them if they finally pull that off a year ahead of schedule, really, for Nico Medved. But I'll rank them like this for right now. San Diego State 1, Boise State 2, Colorado State 3, and Utah State 4.
Nico Medved, Coach of the Year?
Yeah, probably. I think so. I certainly don't think it's Dutcher who was picked to win it, although, man, I hate taking away from coaches who are picked to win it, and then they do, and then you don't really give them credit. But, yes, Nico Medved would be my Coach of the Year.
Tell you what, Steve's done a hell of a job getting that Nevada team turned around, and they could beat probably. I mean, they were competitive in both San Diego State games, swept Boise State, and nobody wants to play them right now either.
I agree, except that they also have a home loss to Air Force, and watching Air Force the last couple of weeks, I'm like, what? How did that happen?
No, I'm not telling you he should be Coach of the Year. That's not what I'm saying, but I think he's done a heck of a job up there.
Totally agreed, and I'll tell you what, they're going to be good next year, too. I mean, Grant Sherfield's going to be a problem in this league for a couple of years.
Good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for spending some time with us. Read him every day in the Albuquerque Journal, albuquerquejournal.com, and, of course, a great Twitter follow. I think the entire world follows Jeff Grammer on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
At Jeff Grammer, that's Jeff with the G.
All right. Be well, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff Grammer. That's good, man. I mean, he's always good. He's just on every show in America.
You got to give the voice a break.
Just we're looking out for him. No, it's really good conversation. So just to confirm, San Diego State, he and Mark Ziegler both agree that the San Diego State UNLV, they're going to play one time in Vegas next week, and it sounds like, according to what he's saying, Lobos will make up one game against Colorado State next week. They'll go up to Fort Collins and play the Rams.
Yes.
Okay. 505-246-0610. Come on in. It's yours the rest of the way. I'll get you a bunch of your emails. Jeff at sportsanimalabq.com. JJ at sportsanimalabq.com. It is the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
You can.
Island the other way. Win up top to the big goal. Here he comes.
For the lead. Got it.
What a great game plan. Look at this.
Agbayosi throws it down.
Has that ball stolen. Jeremy Segura.
Dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass. Wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3 ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
A whole little jump step in the. And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. David Bond back. LAU. Put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it? get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what
Hill's gonna just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's gonna fire at the buzzer and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Tie in the district. Inside. Fly. Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Vista, but just all the different scenarios we can see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Hill, senior pop.
No! Oh, ho, ho, ho.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Lobo win, man. Makes you feel good, doesn't it? John says, Jeff, it was great seeing those players finally get a win just for the sake of them finally pulling out a game. Losing stinks and is hard mentally, especially under these circumstances. But I keep hearing how dinner at Coach P's house made a difference mentally on them as a team. So this makes me wonder why Weir wasn't having team barbecue or dinners all through the season. What's different now, COVID-wise, of the rest of the season? It just seems Weir's ill-prepared to be a head coach, period. I'm going to push back on you. John, they actually had to get permission from these were the protocols. These were the protocols in which they and just about every other team has been living. No mass gatherings, no. JJ, work with me on this. I don't believe that you typically when you're on the road, you eat as a team. You go to there's a room, a ballroom, like there's a meeting room. All these meeting rooms at hotels. There's team meeting rooms, one or two breakout rooms, and then there's a dining room that you eat in. I don't even believe they've been able to eat it in dining rooms, right? A lot of their meals have been, especially when they were in Lubbock, go down, pick up your box meal, and take it to your room. That's how the COVID procedures were, the protocols were. With things relaxing, certainly in different states besides here, and numbers coming down, and they got the okay to actually go to dinner. This isn't.
Well,
this isn't probably
and there was a house available.
Yeah.
Like it was the Pilipovich residence, which is different in this case. And this is one I can't sit here and say Paul was not prepared because the team doesn't have enough barbecues.
Right.
You laid it out. There's protocols in place. They've been having team meetings in hotel lobbies. So you think there's been a lot of opportunities for them to go to the Sizzler and just relax and hang out? No, they haven't been doing that because the last thing you need is go to the Sizzler, have your steak, come back and be like, yeah, you know what, we got 4 positives on this roster right now, and then we're off another 2 weeks. So
they have not been permitted to go to a restaurant.
Can't do that.
They haven't been. They're not allowed.
And so this is one. It's like, hey, Coach Dave happens to have a house in Colorado Springs. Y'all think it's okay if we go have dinner there?
And it was just them. It was their group. There was no outside exposure. And now you're going to tell me, well, the governor said only your immediate family. No, that's right. But basically, this is your immediate family at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, McQuatch, Malawach, and Emmanuel Quach and Byron Matos are immediate family at this point with Paul Weir and Coach Dave. I mean, they are. And so John, I'm going to push back on you. I don't think that's a good take. That's got nothing to do with Paul being prepared. And good for them for being able to do it. But it is amazing how unsolicited and how often that dinner came up on that post-game Zoom press conference with Byron Matos, Emmanuel Quach, and Paul Weir last night.
I know Jeff Grammer tried to ask it, but I want to know what they ate.
What was it?
Like,
yeah, he did
something was obviously the atmosphere is just great. You know, a chance to just relax in a house, which is super nice for everyone in your own residence when you get that moment.
I'm sure it's a pretty sweet crib. I'm sure it's nice.
That is time to spend his time in Colorado Springs. So I'm sure they got a good setup at the Pilipovich household. But what was it? I guess if you're in that setting, any food is good food. So, but I gotta believe it was probably something pretty good.
Have you tripped around Colorado Springs at all?
A little bit.
It's nice. So, gosh, I want to say
I do like
two football seasons ago, the league invited bowl directors up. We went to remember when I went up to watch the games in their command center? Remember, like I told you that we went to the Air Force game on like Friday night. It was Air Force versus Army.
You guys weren't allowed to take pictures. You were shuttled around in black SUVs everywhere. Yes.
Right. But Craig Thompson, I was with Craig and John Cicenti runs the Las Vegas Bowl. Craig took us up to this plot. They had just laid the foundation on his new house. He was building up like on one of these tall peaks in Colorado Springs overlooking the whole world, and all the homes around there were insane. So I'm going to guess Pilipovich is somewhat in that neighborhood, maybe. But there's some nice houses there. I never saw the commissioner's house when it was done, though. Never got invited when it was done. Just when it was a slab.
Just when it was being built.
Yeah, that's where the pool's going to be, and that's where the garage is going to be. Yeah,
oh, this looks cool. Yep.
Didn't go for dinner.
Never going back.
Hey, on the conference's decision, and I get Grammer where he's coming from. The Lobos shouldn't go on a plane and play another game, and I hear the coaches and I understand it, and I'm not even certain what I think the decision-making process should be, but I understand where the league's coming from. We built in this week to play games. There's a ton of games to be made up. We've got an obligation to our television partner, not just financially, but as a partner to supply them inventory and games. I don't hear any of the coaches who are making bunches, $8-9 million saying, "Give back some of my money if you can't make back all of your television revenue." I don't hear any of that coming. So I'm not telling you it's right, but I do get where the league is coming from.
Yeah, this is one where we're always talking about you can change, but in this situation, if you have still a number to hit to satisfy your television contract, and while it's not the best for some of these teams, it's that trickle-down effect, because it's still, as you said, the partnership, the revenue that isn't coming back to your universities and going into your athletic department, where you do have to have a little bit more of that business mindset in this situation, because while it is an added trip and there's always that added risk to the situation, you're still testing, following the protocols, keeping your fingers crossed that you can get this final weekend and then head to the conference tournament, because unfortunately, it's going to happen, whether it's at the Mountain West or another conference tournament across the board, or heck, the NCAA tournament, something else is going to pop up, but you still got to do what you can, finish the season, and in this case, got to lean a little bit to the business side.
All right, I got to take this final break. We'll come back. Jeffrey, stay there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I want to tell you about IPS, International Protective Service. They protect my home. They supply security for your home and business, armed guards and patrols to protect what is yours. Don't be a victim. Don't wait until it's too late. Call IPS. It's like insurance. I understand. It's hard to pull the trigger, and then the bad guy breaks in, and boy, you wish you would have called. IPS is the real deal. And maybe you've signed up for another local armed response, and you found out that they were selected in a buyout, and now you're on the brink of another merger with a national company, and that's not what you signed up for. That's not what you have to have. IPS is a local company invested in Albuquerque, committed to your home and business security with highly trained armed guards, 24-hour patrols. IPS, you got a trip coming up? IPS will watch your home. Pick up the newspapers, the mail, take the garbage cans out to the curb and back on garbage day. Just give your home that lived-in look and protect what's important. The number is 505-897-2420. Call them, 505-897-2420, or go to ipsglobal.com.
Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh!
Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
It's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did. Oh my God!
Bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in.
Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake, double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, hand up off the middle. It's got some room. 50, 45.
J. Buck, Nikki Heckroth, Lobato will have the call. Lobos in Clune Arena. The pregame starts at
5:30.
Tip-offs at 6. Seems like about a year and a half since the Lady Lobos played.
17 days.
That's all it was. But it just seems like a year and a half.
Been a minute. It's been a while. So the third pause this season, second COVID-related pause. And they're 2-1 coming off pauses. On the loss was UNLV, blitzed them 7-8-60, but they beat Fresno State, and then they beat San Diego State following the next two. So we'll see how they respond tonight.
Been a minute since Jeffrey's been on hold, so let's go to him. Hello, Jeffrey. How you doing?
I'm good, really good. And, thanks for reminding folks the obvious that more than one thing can be true concomitantly and simultaneously. I get so tired of these debates and conversations where people have to draw a line and stand on one side or the other. The most beautiful color in the world to me is purple, which is a combination of blue and red, both opposite sides of the spectrum. But anyway, at any rate, I wanted to also indicate to your members that I'm doing a show this Saturday with a psychological clinician about the psychology of COVID-19. So not the disease itself, but the psychological and sociological manifestations of COVID, particularly as it's affecting people under the age of 25. Socialization skills, self-esteem, physical, suicide, some very sobering topics, but also what are called behavioral propensities, which become habits and behavioral paradigms, because people get into certain habits when you're isolated, and not all of them are very good. And this isn't a judgment kind of thing, but just a review of the psychology of COVID-19, particularly on youth, socialization, self-esteem, physical, suicidal, depression. But the other part is the habits that are formed that become what are called behavioral paradigms. And it's really going to be a fascinating show, so tune in. But I really appreciate that you continually remind all of us. I don't have kids myself. I have a couple of nephews, one of which is extremely depressed because he's about 6'2". He's a guard. He wasn't able to play a lot of basketball, and he's just extremely depressed because he can't do what he loves and be around his friends. And it absolutely has affected his psychology. So I appreciate that you talk about the disease, not in terms of just the actual physiology of the disease itself, but the psychological piece that just doesn't get enough fodder as far as I'm concerned. So thank
Jeffrey,
you for that.
And your show is it's 2 to 5, right, on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, 2 to 5, and the psychologist, the clinician, is going to be on 3:30 to 5.
All right,
and
I
she's
want you
going
to
just talk about her, her experiences and her expertise as a disciplinary professional along the psychology of COVID-19.
Well, feel free to use this, and I don't know if you heard this earlier, and I said this, and I knew my child was, struggling a little bit. She went to school yesterday for the first day, hybrid classes. She was on campus in practice. I have not seen her that happy in a year, and literally watched. She's like, Dad, I haven't felt this good. I feel so good. She's like, gosh, I just feel good. Interaction. She had lunch with her friends. She walked me through her day. She had practice. It's real, Jeffrey, and feel free to use that as an example. But it's good to hear you.
Oh, I've been talking about this the whole time frame, and studies have been done over the last 100 years where you isolate a rabbit, a snake, a rat, any animal, and if you isolate that animal, it doesn't live as long. I'm not trying to be, to invoke fear or any of that, but these are sobering statistical, metrical facts that can't be denied. When you isolate an animal, it has a psychological effect on the animal. Not only does it not socialize well, but it doesn't live as long. And again, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying this topic, the gravity of the psychology of COVID-19, is something that absolutely needs to be discussed and invoked into this conversation and given more weight when we make these decisions and policies. That's all.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks, man. All right, good stuff. And JJ, it's real and it's good conversation. Thank you to Danny Nee, all-time Aggie great, for being with us today. Jeff Grammer as well. Jim Rome Show is next. The Herd with Colin Cowherd is after that. You get a little sports bar at 4. JJ and Nikki at 5:30 with Lobo Women's Basketball. We're back with more award-winning radio for you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Alden, J. Pohl, great job on the TV side as always. Micah, 30 seconds. Good job on the radio side. JJ, big day. I'll see you on the big Zoom call, huh? Coming up at 11:30.
Have a day, y'all.
All right, be good to each other, please. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. We'll see you tomorrow.
Dear winner.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's gonna fire at the buzzer and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Tie in the district. Inside. Fly. Eagle.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped. Stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Could have said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Volcano Vista, but just all the different scenarios we could see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Oh! Ho, ho, ho!
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it.
They're really...
Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Heron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead.